good morning, everybody, and happy hump day to you. It is Wednesday, June 21st, 2023. It is the summer solstice. It is two birthdays going on in my house. We are in the middle of moving. Listen, I'm lucky. Thank God the date is on the computer, because if it wasn't, I wouldn't be able to help you all out. I'll just be honest with you. I'll be honest with you right now. We're talking music and movies today as part of our Y2K Rewind week, as part of our Battle of the Decade series here on Project Joy Live. Miss Sacredian Secrets herself, Miss Brittany Floyd, is going to be joining us on the show in just a couple minutes here. But I would love for you all to chime in. Let us know what is bringing you joy today, where you're joining us from, all of that good stuff. And let me know what your favorite music, movies, TV were from the years 2000 through 2009. And as per usual, this is going to be an interesting conversation, because the years just blend together sometimes. When we get to the end of a decade and the beginning of a new one, it's like, did this happen in the 90s or the early 2000s? And so I was corrected several times in my research for this week, and that's going to be proven several times today. So I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, and I'm super excited you're with us today for another episode on your favorite morning talk show, giving you a triple shot of good vibes each weekday morning here on the Breakthrough Show Network. I have national days to talk about today as well, and birthdays at the end. But without further ado, let's bring on our good friend, Miss Brittany Floyd. Good morning, Miss Brittany.
Good morning. Good morning.
Koala hugs.
Ooh.
You know, you and I were talking for a minute yesterday, and Brandon and I mentioned this on the show yesterday as well, that the energy is a little funky right now. It's a little funky. And so this week, all of us on the show have just been like, okay, we're going to show up and we're going to do this and we're going to walk or talk. But it's been a challenge.
It is. It definitely has been. Let me just start by saying that it took me everything to get up this morning. It definitely did. I did not want to get up. I just been so exhausted. This energy that's going around is draining. It's draining completely.
It is. And I think that it really speaks to, though, the fact that living with joy and being joy isn't about perfection. It isn't about always the desire to want to be joy. Sometimes we have to put ourselves in that place. And I think like you and Brandon and some of the other folks that have been on the show and doing this series with us have gotten to experience a little bit of what I've experienced through doing this show, which is that sometimes I don't want to get up in the morning. Sometimes I just don't want to. I don't want to but we do it, and really that's why it's not a joke when I say that this show has saved me so many times, because I would literally, with the things that I've had going, I would stay in bed and just not ever.
Yeah, that's one thing. Like, I was like, okay, today I may be feeling exhausted. I'm gonna show up as my best self. As try to anyway. Try to show up as my best self.
Yeah.
But one thing that has brought me joy throughout this whole time is the "there will be hugs" moment. I can always go back to that, and I can always, it always makes me smile and giggle. And with that being said, I have a surprise for you. I've been trying to keep it in. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Okay.
Okay, look.
Stop. It's so cute. Oh my gosh. Hold on. I'm going to blow you. Oh, look, you guys. Oh, it's so adorable. It's a koala.
Yeah, so once you get moved into your new place, I'll send it out to you and you can hang it up.
I love it. It's going to go, it's going to be right behind me all the time I have no idea in our new place where I'm going to be set up at yet for my office, but it will be there. There will be that, and there will be hugs.
Yeah, there will be hugs.
Yes, and I got, because Brittany message. Can I tell people what you messaged me? The idea you
Yeah,
messaged me
yeah,
about? Okay, so he messaged me about. She's like, we should do a children's book about this, and I was like, that is the best idea ever, because I think we're in a different time now where we are in this social media age and it's supposed to be social, yet I think we're all really craving those relationships that maybe we used to have as we do this timely, as we do these nostalgic weeks here on the show. um and and sometimes we don't always, we make these relationships online, but we're missing that physical aspect. We're missing the ability to hug and to feel the energy in person and things like that. And so I think it speaks to a time that we're in, of, keeping it in our minds that there will be hugs, there will be, there will be a time when maybe we're able to meet up and everything. And so I started working on it a little bit. I've got some ideas, put together, but I think it's going to be so cute. And it's so, like I said, I feel like the idea is just so timely, and to speak to it through the story of two little koalas who just know that one day that there will be hugs. They're on that search for their bestie. I think it's just going to be, it's
yeah. It's gonna be great. It honestly came to me as I was painting this because it is kind of childlike, and I was just like, we have that. It just popped in my mind. I was like, we have to make this happen. So
must happen. So it's happening, as we like to say here on the show. We don't have, Brittany and I haven't talked about any timeline or anything like that. So I think we just let it happen. And when it happens and it's ready, we will of course let y'all know. We will let you know. So I'm going to quickly talk about some national days today before we get into our music and movies of the 2000s. It is National Smoothie Day today. What's your favorite kind of smoothie, Brittany?
I like all kinds. I don't think I have a favorite.
I don't either. I do not discriminate. I love all the smoothies. And I like the ones that taste like milkshakes that are disguised as.
Yeah, those are I like to make those from home because I'll use banana and almond milk
Yeah. Yep.
and throw a little bunch of fruits in there and just blend it up, and it always tastes so good.
Yeah. I love that. It is also International Day of Yoga. My dad, fun fact, practices yoga often, and I'm so blown away by this because he's such a military guy, like military for over 20 years, and I'm like, he's doing yoga all the time now. Really kind of funny. But it's awesome that he's doing that. So and shout out to Suzanne Doolin, who was one of our first um OG guests on the Breakthrough Show Network. Been a yogi for a very, very long time, and she was the one that got us started with the yoga conversation on the Breakthrough Show Network. So shout out to her today. It is also World Giraffe Day today. And I find that so funny because our library here in Groton, Connecticut has a giraffe as its uh, mascot. And that giraffe has been there since I was little. Like that, Stretch the giraffe has been there a long time, but Giraffe Stretch went missing because they're starting their summer reading program today, and he was brought under the sea, which I find is kind of ironic with the news right now. Um but Stretch the giraffe, they've taken him under the sea for their under the sea reading program this summer at Groton Public Library in Connecticut. So be on the lookout for Stretch the giraffe. I'll have to see if I can find him when I go there later today. It's also National Seashell Day. Do you like to collect seashells when you go to the beach, Brittany?
Yeah, absolutely.
I do
Absolutely.
too.
I love seashells.
I have all the seashells. As we've been packing up, I had a lot that I didn't even take out from when we moved here, and my daughter was like, "You have a lot of seashells." Yep, I do. There's a reason we moved back to the coast. It's also National Selfie Day today. So take a new selfie of yourself and put it up. Selfie of yourself. That was kind of redundant, but put it Put it online somewhere, let people see you. And it's also the longest day of the year today, the summer solstice. Depends on what time zone you live in, I guess, depending on whether it's the 20th, 21st, or 22nd. But it's the summer solstice here on the East Coast. And it is the first day of summer as the Earth's axis is pointed toward the sun today. So let me know if you're going to be celebrating that. There's a lot of things happening today. It's National Peaches and Cream Day. And do you have an air fryer, Brittany?
Yes.
You need to put some peaches in the air fryer.
Ooh, okay.
Slice the peaches and like half them and take the pit out and put some, you could, like I do, like some maple syrup and things like that in there, and then put them in the air fryer, and then put you some vanilla ice cream on top.
Ooh.
I'm telling you, you could have them with the peaches and cream. We made that. We made that for my husband for Father's Day, and he was thrilled with the peaches and cream.
That sounds
It's also, listen, I don't know how I feel about it. It's National Daylight Appreciation Day. But listen, I don't know what's going on with this lately because the sun has been so bright. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel assaulted when I go outside.
This past week it's been raining here, so there hasn't been much sun out. But yeah, I'm not. I love bathing and the sunbathing, but at the same time, I haven't really even. I mean, I've gone outside, but I don't want to be out there for too long. I could stare at the sun for with my eyes closed and just soak it up for a few minutes, and I'm like, all right, I'm back inside, as you can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, I just feel like there's so much light. I think I'm a vampire. Is what it is. Just not because the sun comes with heat, and I don't like the heat. And then I am such a whiner with the sun.
But
But
I don't want it to be cold either. So it's like I'm in between that. Yeah.
basically, what we're saying is we're gonna complain regardless. So that's what's gonna happen. We got to get into talking about our music and movies of the 2000s. So we'll be right back after this to dive into that today. All right, Miss Brittany, I will leave it up to you. Do you want to talk about movies first or music?
Either one. I don't care. Movies. Let's do movies
All right.
first.
Let's do movies. All right. So, one of the very popular, there's a couple series that really got blown up in the 2000s. One, which didn't even make this list, I don't know how, is Harry Potter. Because the books became popular in the 90s, and then in the 2000s the movies became super popular, and then in addition to Harry Potter series, the Lord of the Rings series really blew up in the 2000s as well. Are you a fan of either one of those series, Brittany?
Don't shoot me, but I haven't really watched either one.
That's it. That's
Don't
it.
shoot
Brittany
me.
has to go now. No, that's okay. And because I can't, there are certain things that are like that we've talked about this series that were like cult classics. And I'm like with Friends, for example. I've seen some episodes of Friends, but I'm not this hardcore, like,
Yeah.
ride or die Friends person, like some people that I know. Just can't do it.
I've
Uh,
been wanting to watch Harry Potter because now I'm at that, when I was younger, I'm like, what the heck is this?
yeah.
But now that I'm older, I do want to watch it, but I just haven't. I just haven't.
There's so many moments in that because I remember watching it. I was a young adult when the series came out in the movies, and I remember because I had read all the books, loved the books, but then I had one kind of way of looking at it as a young adult. Now as I rewatch them, there's so many of those little like kind of Easter egg moments where you're like, oh, that's really good, like just having like just a metaphor for life kind of thing. So I really like it for that. And the same with Lord of the Rings also. I really enjoy it more now than I did when it first came out in the early 2000s. There's a few other movies that were top of the box office that just were not top of my mind. The Dark Knight came out in 2008. And that was with Heath Ledger portrayal of the Joker, which I think was amazing. But I'm old fashioned where Batman is concerned. I like Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson as Joker. That's my old. I like that.
I'm not a huge DC fan, so I'm more Marvel. So I don't really. I like Batman, but it's not like yeah.
And to this day, I couldn't tell you the difference between if you lined up superheroes to me and said, Jessica, which one's Marvel and which DC, I couldn't tell you. I have
Yeah,
no idea. No idea. It's not in my wheelhouse. Another big movie, it was Russell Crowe's Academy Award winning role was Gladiator in the year 2000. I don't think I've watched that whole movie.
no,
Um,
I don't.
but I do know, it was well awarded. But I just didn't watch a whole lot of it. And also Martin Scorsese's film The Departed in 2006. Have you seen that one?
Not that I can remember. I don't know. I've
And
seen
see,
so many movies that it's just.
Inception in 2010.
Oh yeah,
Of course,
Inception
it's kind
is
of
really
that's getting towards the next
yeah.
decade there, but No Country for Old Men was another one that won Best Picture at the Oscars, but I don't think I saw that one. Now, how do you feel about Avatar?
I like it. I mean, it's not like my oh, it's so good, but
Yeah,
it's the pictures of how they put everything together is really good. But I'm not like a huge fan, if that makes
yeah,
sense.
I think I'm similar. Like I enjoyed it. I thought it was okay. I thought that it was visually beautiful, really kind of cool what they did, but it's not like it's another thing where I think a lot of people just freaked out when like the next one came out and everything else, and I'm not like that kind of fan, I guess, of it. We also talked about in trivia yesterday. It was a movie that I guess not a lot of people have seen. The one with Jim Carrey, and that is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind that came out in 2004. Had you seen that one before we talked about it in trivia?
No. Mm-mm.
That one, it's like I shared yesterday, it was disturbing for me in a way because the whole concept is somebody wanting to have their memory completely wiped out, which is why I said it kind of applied to the conversation that I had with Scott and Matt on Monday night on Instagram, about the goddess Mnemosyne. But I don't know, like just that's another thing that really freaks me out for some reason is being like not just purposely wiping out everything in your memory.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, that's freaky.
Yeah, it left me it wasn't like a scary movie or anything like that, but it left me, I don't know, it just it was one of those ones that just didn't sit right well with me. Um some of the other movies to mention and popular actors and actresses of the 2000 through 2009 years were number one, Tom Hanks. Some of the most popular movies he did in the 2000s were Castaway in 2000s. I love that movie, but that was another one that kind of freaked me out a little bit. Like I'm like, you're crashing and nobody can find you.
Yeah, it was a really good movie though. I do like that
Yeah,
movie.
I do really
It
like
is
that movie. It's just one of those ones that's like, oh, nobody will find you. guess I'm not riding in a plane anytime soon. Also, he was in Catch Me If You Can in 2002, and The Da Vinci Code. That was another one that was a pretty big thing in 2006. Johnny Depp was a big deal in the early 2000s as well. Pirates of the Caribbean, Finding Neverland, Sweeney Todd. I thought he was fantastic in Sweeney Todd, but this is me talking about how much I love musicals.
That's the one musical that I will agree with you that I could sit there and watch. First off, I love Johnny Depp anyway, but Sweeney Todd was really good. Yeah. I will.
Yeah, he did fantastic in that. And really, I mean, we talked about Johnny in the 90s week as well. I could watch him in pretty much anything and be fine with it. Anyway, also Brad Pitt was a pretty big deal in the 2000s. He starred in Ocean 11 in 2001, Troy in 2004, and The Curious Case of Benjamin Button in 2008. That was a really interesting movie as well. Have you seen that?
No. Where have I been? Well, I was a teenager,
Yeah.
and I had I graduated in '07, so yeah.
Well, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button is the guy that ages backwards. Um, yeah, it was how come none of these people look older? That was the early 2000s, because it's magic. It's the magic of Hollywood. It's what it is.
Yeah.
Um, Leonardo DiCaprio, he starred in Catch Me If You Can in 2002, The Departed in 2006, and Revolutionary Road in 2008. But see, I don't think I watched a lot of Leonardo in the 2000s. I think I remember more Leonardo from the 90s when we were watching Romeo and Juliet and Titanic and things like that. So
I probably watched it in the 2000s, but of course,
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Also Will Smith. He starred in films like Men in Black 2 in 2002, I, Robot in 2004, and Hancock in 2008. Actresses, Julia Roberts. One of my favorite movies of all time came out in 2000, and that's Erin Brockovich. I freaking love that movie, and I love the story of her. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I'll have to go back. What year did I Am Legend come out? It wasn't that in the 2000s too?
Let me see. I
Sorry,
am
I know you went to Julia Roberts.
2007. 2007 was
Yeah,
when that came out.
that was one of my favorite movies with him in it.
Is there an I Am Legend 2 coming out? There is.
Oh, snap.
How? You guys remember the end of that?
Yeah.
Ow. What TV show was Leonardo DiCaprio's first role? I have no idea. But it had to have been in the 90s, because, or maybe even in the 80s. But yeah, we're past that. We're past that decade. Also, no, let me see. Well, Julia Roberts, Erin Brockovich, Ocean's 11, Eat, Pray, Love. Nicole Kidman, Moulin Rouge, The Hours, Cold Mountain. Sandra Bullock. Some of my favorites were from Sandra Bullock. Miss Congeniality. I love the first one and the second one. Crash and The Blind Side, which earned her the Academy Award as well for that
Yeah.
film.
I remember watching her a lot.
Growing Pains. Yeah, that was a good show. That was a good show. Reese Witherspoon. She was another one that I really loved in the 2000s as well. Legally Blonde, Walk the Line, which we talked about yesterday, and that's the one she won the Academy Award for, and Rendition in 2007, amongst many other roles. Also, Kate Blanchett in things like the Lord of the Rings trilogy, Babel, and she was also in The Curious Case of Benjamin Button as well. Is there any other movies that we didn't mention that stick out for you as good ones from the 2000s, Brittany?
Just cartoons. Didn't Shrek come out in the 2000s? I was like, I think Shrek came out in the 2000s, and
Yep.
and Up.
Yeah, Shrek 2001, Shrek 2 2004, Shrek the Third 2007. So Shrek was the 2000s.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what it is.
I, I'll never get tired of children's movies. I still watch them, even if the kids are around. I'll still watch them by myself. So,
You want to hear something that you didn't need to know, but you're going to know it now. Okay. When you're driving in your car, okay, and the sunshine is coming from behind the car, and your car makes a shadow on the road, it looks like Shrek. Okay. This is the shit that I think about when I'm driving. Okay. I'm driving along and the light and I see it because so the roundness of the top of the car, it makes like the head, and then the mirrors look like his little.
but ears. Oh, you, Jessica.
So I'm literally driving along one day and I'm like, Shrek. And the kids are like, what are you talking about? You will never be able to drive your car in the sunshine again without seeing it.
Yeah,
You.
it's gonna automatically just pop in my head. I'm automatically gonna think about Jessica and Shrek.
It's gonna be great. That'd be great. I want to mention a couple TV shows really quick. By the way, when we had 90s week last week, one of my and I was so blown away that it wasn't in top news for 90s. My favorite show from the 90s, which was 90210, and I'm rewatching it right now. I'm finally on started rewatching it during 80s week. I think I'm on season 7 at this point. Again, for I don't can't tell you how many times I watched this, but the final episode of 90210 aired on May 17th in the year 2000. So it's interesting looking back because this was such a like you were a teenager in the 2000s, and in the 2000s I was just like I had just gotten married, I had just become a mom for the first time. So it was you were experiencing in the 2000s what I experienced in the 90s of being like that transformative teenage time. And then I feel like for me in the 2000s, it was another really transformative time because that was becoming a mom for the first time. And I think that's why like a lot of this is a blur to me because once you become a mom, that's it.
Yeah, because I became a mom at I got pregnant at 17 and
Yeah.
had my oldest in 2008. So it was
Yep.
later into the early 2000s that I became a mom for the first time. Yeah, and it is a blur.
It is. Once the kids come, it's kind of like, I don't know what's happening anymore in pop culture. But the last episode of 90210 was May 17th, 2000. And that was right. I just find it really interesting because that was right as I was finishing up a semester of college. And then right after that, I met my ex, got married. The next year I had a baby. Like it was the whole like I don't know, it was just like fast from
Yeah.
that moment. So that happened. Also some other big shows. We talked about Friends. Friends finished up in 2004. The Sopranos ran from 99 to 2000. And I really want to go back and watch The Sopranos because The Sopranos is one that I've seen several episodes, but I haven't watched like start to
Yeah, same. I've seen several episodes, but I haven't sat and watched.
yeah. I will say it was kind of interesting. So I drove when I moved from Washington State to Mississippi, we drove the entire West Coast and then down across the southern United States. And we had gone to a park in LA when we drove through LA, and they were taping an episode of The Sopranos. So that was kind of a cool thing to see as we were driving through there. One of my favorite shows that got started in 2008, you'll have to let me know if you're a fan of this show, was Breaking Bad. It
Yeah,
started,
it's really good. I
love
love
that
Breaking.
one.
Mm-hmm.
started in 2008 and ended in 2013. Lost, the show, ran from 2004 to 2010. I loved that show at the beginning, and then like the last season was so weird.
I remember seeing it, but I don't remember. I'll have to go back and watch it because I don't remember it all, you know. It's
Yeah.
one of those.
Yeah. The Office got started in 2005, as well as The Wire. Dexter in 2006. House, which is another one that I really enjoy, got started in 2004. And we were just talking about this show before. Grey's Anatomy got started
Yeah,
in
I
2005.
started watching the newer season, season 19.
Season 19. I think this show is going to be up there with it'll probably end up being one of the longest running, I
Yeah,
think, when we look back on it. So that's interesting as well. All right, getting into music, top music news. What's really interesting to me is how many really influential people in the music business died during 2000 to 2009. Just thinking, we had Aaliyah that died in 2001. We had Johnny Cash, which we were just talking about with Walk the Line, died in 2003. Ray Charles in 2004. Rosemary Clooney in 2002. Let's see who else I had on here. Maurice Gibb from the Bee Gees died in 2003. George Harrison from the Beatles in 2001. Michael Jackson. I mean, that was
yeah,
huge. 2009. Rick James in 2004. Lisa Left Eye Lopez from TLC in 2002. And I did not realize that was as long ago as it was, because I didn't even think about Aaliyah being 2001 and Left Eye being 2002.
yeah.
That's wild. Wild. I didn't realize they were so close together. In addition to all of those things, Napster and the rise of digital music was a pretty big deal, beginning in about 2000. Destiny's Child broke up and Beyonce went solo. Dun dun dun. Eminem was a pretty big deal, and like just super successful, but also a lot of controversy. Um, all of the craziness that was publicized about Britney Spears was a pretty big thing in music news. And then we had something pretty interesting happen in the 2000s, which I guess I just didn't even equate to it being that time. But the rise of reality music competitions became a pretty big deal in the 2000s. So American Idol, X Factor. And then I'm driving along yesterday looking at Shrek in the shadow of my car. Um, and Danity Kane popped into my head. Do you remember them?
Who?
Danity Kane. Okay, so Puff Daddy had started a music competition and wanted to put together the next big girl group, and put together this group called Danity Kane. Now there was a whole bunch of controversy around the members of this group, and then the relationship with Puff Daddy, and kind of what a interesting person he was to work with and everything else. But I went back to go listen to some of the songs, and I was like, it's just so 2000s, like early 2000s, like. And then it went in, like, I'm watching Danity Kane, and then it went into like Mandy Moore and early Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears, and
Yeah, that's the people that I remember listening
yeah,
to. Even Mandy Moore. Um, what was
yep,
that one movie that she played in that was such a huge.
A Walk to Remember.
Yeah, I Walk to Remember. It was probably my favorite movie when I was
Yeah,
in that. Yeah, I think
yeah.
I saw him several times.
Good morning, Lauren. It's good to see you today. We're talking about music and movies of the years 2000 through 2009 this morning. Um, there was a lot of that. I went back and listened, and then I think for the people that had been around in music in the 90s and in the 80s that were still going in the 2000s, I feel like it was such a big time for reinvention, because Mariah Carey changed a whole lot, Madonna changed a whole lot. There was like just this, and I was trying to look, I need to look up. Okay, so I guess it was in the early 90s that Prince put himself out as a symbol, but then I feel like he kind of went back to being Prince in the 2000s as well. So there was like, I just feel like it was a lot of like reinvention. And then the boy bands, the boy and girl bands were a big deal in the 90s, and then it kind of slowed down, and then it ramped back up in the 2000s as well, because we know how much Brittany loved the Spice Girls
Yeah,
as well.
definitely did. I was obsessed, I think was an understatement.
I love that. I love that. But NSYNC, I remember when in the early 2000s when the NSYNC album No Strings Attached came out, like that was so good for me. I loved that album so much.
I don't know about, well, you were older, but when, when the girl bands started becoming popular, that was the time, that was the era that I had, me and my friends would act like we're in music videos. And we were, yeah, that was the whole thing.
I love it. I love it. And that was a period of time, the early 2000s for me was a period of time I went to a lot of concerts from like late 90s to early 2000s. Like I had seen um I'd gone to the Summer Sanitarium tour in Massachusetts in 2000, which was freaking wild. But it had like Metallica, Korn, Kid Rock, System of a Down, like a lot of the real heavier music of that time, which was still kind of carrying over from the 90s, I feel like. And that was I don't know, that was like the second or third time I had seen Metallica. And then I had gone to like a mix concert from one of the radio stations, and 98 Degrees was there, and Jessica Simpson, and a lot of the more bubblegum pop
Yeah.
kind of sounds of the time. So I think there still really was that huge gap in like types of music that were super popular during that time as well.
Yeah, rock was just still carrying on
Yeah.
into the, love me some rock, classic rock, all that.
And like I say that, say like obviously there's still lots of different types of music today, but I feel like Danielle and I were talking about last week, it was more, I think you met more people who were into all the different types of music than you do today. Kind of today I feel like you meet someone and they're like about the hip hop, or they're about the rap, or they're about the rock. Like it's not, I don't know. I don't meet a lot of people who have that wide taste in music anymore. How about you?
Yeah, I don't really either. I'm very diverse when it comes to music. I will listen to almost any genre except for like heavy metal. I'm not a heavy metal kind of. I'm not too much country either, but I do like some country. But I definitely yeah, I don't, other than the older, like my kids, they only listen to a certain one. The heck are you listening to?
Yep.
What is this?
Yep.
Music today just isn't the same.
It isn't for me either. And it's funny to see a lot of the sounds from the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s coming back now in a lot of the songs. And it'll come on and I'm thinking it's my jam, and then it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. Listen, I put a link down in the comments for you guys. If you are on YouTube, Twitch, or a couple of the Facebook locations, you can check out that link. It's a playlist I found that is has a ton of 2000 songs in it. It says try not to sing. Oh, but this is the other one I wanted to put. I'm going to put this one as well because this has every number one Billboard song from the years 2000 to 2009, and it'll really this when I watched this morning, it really took me back and had me rethinking when I thought things happened. I was literally like, I thought that was the 90s, or I thought that was later on. And it was really interesting. So if you want to have a little trip down memory lane, go check out those couple of links that I put in the comments for you guys, because it was a whole vibe this morning. I was partying away over here. Any other music or artists or anything that you can think of that were really influential for you in the 2000s?
It was mainly like you have mentioned Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, all the Spice Girls was still, yeah, they were all a lot of female singers, and of course NSYNC and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it was an interesting time, for
Oh,
sure.
Alicia Keys.
Yep. Yep.
Alicia Keys, I forgot to, yeah, she was definitely in the 2000s. That's when she first started becoming, really out there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I
Her
want to
first
say so.
album came out, and we talked about that in trivia yesterday. Songs in A Minor was the name of her first album, and it came, or at least the I don't know for sure if that was the first, but it was the first one that went really mainstream, I believe. And yeah, I think we saw a big shift in R&B music as we went through as
Oh,
well.
Ja Rule and Ashanti.
Ashanti, yep,
Yeah, Ashanti. I can never get that was yeah, she was
yep,
definitely.
yep. So that, yeah, I saw her pop up a lot in the music as it went through this morning. And yeah, it was just a really interesting time in music, because I think there were a lot of shifts that happened, and I think next week as we get into the 2010s, there's even bigger shifts that happen, because we started to see kind of the fade out. I've got the little CD down in the corner there. Started to see kind of the fade out of, buying music in the way that we always did. And it still blows my mind coming home to my hometown of Connecticut and going over to the like little strip mall over here, and there's not like the record store in there anymore. There's not like where you can go in and buy CDs and tapes, and it's just weird. It's I don't know. I just remember hanging out in there with friends so much.
Yeah, I think in the 2000s, that's when LimeWire and you would burn your own CDs. That was yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg was pretty
Yep.
popular in the 2000s too.
Yep.
Um,
There's a lot of, like, there's so many people that I just, yeah, it was crazy. It was a crazy time for sure.
and I still listen to all that. I still listen to all that music
I
today.
know.
I don't want to listen to.
And I think that's why I get confused as we've been doing this series. That's why kind of like the years mesh together for me, because even yesterday our friend Heather Clark messaged me, and she TikTok, and they used Gangsta's Paradise as the song in the background, and she's like, wow, what a throwback to middle school. And I'm like, was it? Because I remember that being on my playlist like yesterday.
Right.
Like,
I think that's the same with the movies.
yeah,
because I was telling you the other day, I'm like, I'm looking through this and I feel like these just came out a couple years ago, not even like.
right.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know. It's strange how time goes together, but I think, we talk about this a lot on this show, particularly being the joy and creating the joy. And if that period of time brings you an element of joy for whatever reason, then there's no harm in bringing it back to today. Listen, Danielle and I were shaking it the other night to some pretty pretty old hits. So and I'm hoping the rain better hold out, because I'm supposed to be seeing Sugar tomorrow night and Wild Nights on Friday. And they do a lot of like that mixed stuff as well. So be prepared. There may be some videos coming up that as well. Brittany loves Brittany loves getting my videos that I send while I'm in the middle of the
I do. They bring me joy, and I feel like I feel like I'm there with you whenever I'll be having, I'll be
put
having my
you
own concert when you hit. I'll be getting my mic out, like, yeah, I'll be jamming.
I know it. I know it. I see. That's what I wish I could like literally go. I want to go on like a week trip and just pick up everybody that I love so much, and then we all just go to a concert together.
Yeah.
That would be like the ultimate thing for me, I think. Yeah, so this is a good overview of some music, movies, and TV. And tomorrow Brittany will be back to talk about fashion and trends of the 2000s. And there's a couple of really interesting things, so I'm gonna do my makeup and everything else for the show tomorrow in 2000s. I will not be wearing a baby tee and low-rise jeans because I can't pull that shit off no more, okay?
Yeah, I definitely can't anymore. I wish my hair was longer, because I don't know about you, but it was really popular for us to scrunch our hair with that god awful gel. And then
Yeah.
for whatever reason, we decided to take the flat iron and straighten our bangs. Yeah.
I may have to do that. I may have to do that tomorrow. That's listen, Danielle, you could pull it off. I'm just telling you, if you want, you could pull off that look still. I feel like some of us had 6 kids too many. Okay. All right, you guys, we got to get into our birthdays so that we can finish up the show today. Birthdays that are happening around the world. Singer Lana Del Rey is 38 years old today. Actor Chris Pratt is 44 years old today. I really enjoy Chris Pratt as an actor. I think he's really awesome in a lot of different things. Also, William, the Prince of Wales, is 41 years old today. Happy birthday, Your Majesty. Also, Kathy Smith Dwyer, who is a Breakthrough Show Network alumni, has a birthday today. Happy birthday, Kathy. And then, of course, my 2 youngest kiddos, who we managed to have on the same day, 2 years apart, Jocelyn Dugas and Leah Dugas, are 9 and 7 today. So happy birthday to them. And who knew that they shared their birthday with William, the Prince of Wales? Leah said the other day she wanted to be a princess. I said, you got to find you a prince then.
Oh, that Naomi already brought me the bracelets, so for them for their birthday, so I'll be sure to send them out too.
That'll be awesome. They'll be so excited. So excited. I was like, this butt cannot fit. Oh God. We're gonna see what tomorrow looks like on the show. All right, so with that, let us get our birthday song on. You ready, Miss Brittany?
Yeah.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Lana Del Rey, Chris Pratt, William, Prince of Wales, Kathy Smith Dwyer, Jocelyn and Leah Dugas. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to all those that are celebrating today.
I do it every time, even when I'm not. I'll be like,
every time.
It's a vibe.
And And everybody does it. I watched Ferran do it. I watched Danielle do it behind the scenes. Brandon acts a fool behind Shiraz. I've watched everybody. I need to start making like a compilation of what I see behind the scenes because it's so funny. It's so funny. Listen, if you guys didn't get an opportunity last night, Haley Halleck was on a new episode of My Way. I started taking out clips from last night. I've already got 3 clips and I'm like 10 minutes into the show. Like there were so many good moments with Haley. So definitely go check that out. She's a Psychology Today preferred therapist, and she really talks about, while My Way is a show for entrepreneurs, she really talks about so many times the need for personal development, because our own, how we function and our own mental health touches every aspect of our lives, including our businesses. And then we started touching on a couple really hot button topics at the end of the show, like narcissism, among other things. So listen, you don't want to miss go check out the replay, go to the breakthroughshownetwork.com and check it out. And I'm definitely going to have Haley back because I want to stir the pot.
It was so good. It was so good. You know, when my brain gets intrigued, my pits automatically start sweating. Man, my pits was sweating so bad yesterday. It was really good.
It was amazing. It was really good. And so definitely check that out. Also coming up at 10 a.m. Eastern time this morning, an all new episode of Declutter for Change live with Miss Heather Clark. Be sure you check that out coming up here. We will be back tomorrow with Miss Brittany talking about fashion and trends of the 90s. And so make sure you tune in for that. And then Friday, it'll be Fun Friday here on the show. I invite you to, Danielle, you can come too. Click the link, join us live on the show to share about your favorite memories from the 2000-2009. And then at 6 p.m. on Friday, we have an all new episode of One with a past guest of the Breakthrough Show, Hannah Donji. She is so amazing and wildly accomplished for being so young. She's already been a Wall Street attorney, and now she is an executive coach. She is so well spoken, and her story is so inspiring. So make sure you guys tune in for that at 6 p.m. on Friday as well. I love you so much, Miss Brittany, and I'm so glad you came today.
Yeah, it definitely put a great time for me to start my day. I'm in a much better place right now than I was yesterday for this past week. So thank you.
Thank you. And I will see you tomorrow. And thank all of you for watching or listening wherever you are in the world today. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, and I want to remind you to make joy and nostalgia a priority in your life today and every day. See you next time, guys. Bye, everybody.
Bye.